I wasn't expecting to get to this milestone so quickly, but CG has been surprisingly generous with the latest Marquee release. Welcome to Still Plays. This is a roster video, and we are looking at the Marquee unlocks, our major project progress, Datacrons and Omicrons, and then addressing any other weaknesses within the roster. We will have to be adapting how we cover some of this information moving forward because of all of these changes. Going to kind of figure it out as we go along. Here is the status of my Luke. I did not add any additional resources to Luke. We're just going to handle him free to play and see what happens. We're kind of finishing around like 260 in the leaderboard, which isn't great. I do plan on using some crystals, grabbing like the 5-pack pulls for Asajj and IG-90. Probably Darth Vader as well, and I'm going to be looking to save some crystals on Inquisitor Barriss and Yoda and Chewie. And most of that is related to where I want those squads to be, or where those characters to be. For the squads I hope to be using at the end of the era for Grand Arena. Those are the characters I'm most interested in. This transition also means some significant changes to the Horde. I'm still tracking things for now, but this is going to become increasingly irrelevant, especially now that circuit boards and bronziums can be purchased with Mark 1 raid currency. You can see what used to be something that I had some larger deficits, not massive deficits, but larger ones, has essentially been eliminated within a week. This is going to, within another week, we'll just be in a surplus mode, and then I'm going to be adding characters to work on. But I'm also going to be looking at maybe pulling back on some of those or changing some of my targets because of the light speed tokens. Right now I don't really have any that I can use, like Hera and Sabine are ones that are characters who are already at relics. Technically this Night Sister one I can use for Talia, but that's only because Talia has a couple abilities that are not maxed out. But I'm not interested in bringing Telzine or Zombie up any higher, so that one I'm not going to use. But later during this anniversary era, there are, I think it was about 10 tokens that I can use for targets like Greef Karga, who I wanted to prioritize bringing up to relics. So that now I'm just going to wait until we either get the Bounty Hunter token or the Greef Karga token. But with the rest of the Horde, signal data right now, because of double drops, I'm pushing flawed signal data a lot right now. Some later game players might be going for the fragmented signal data because of how the scavenger will be able to convert that into the corrupted signal data, the new signal data. But that still drops at pretty high rates, and we also have less pressure on that signal data, that I'm more interested in using double drops to try and bring down the demand on the flawed, because that hasn't gotten much easier. It's still somewhat similar of a problem as it always has been. Kairos are going to be easier and easier. That's going to be probably converted mostly into the droid brains, arrow magnifiers. I'm going to be using the Mark III currency, but the Mark III currency is also good for the corrupted signal data. So it'll be split around between those, but I still have a sizable amount of arrow magnifiers. That is not a major concern. Mark II currency, I'll be jumping around on impulse detect, or no, that's still Mark III currency, but the Zinbiddies and the Electriums. But I have a good surplus on the Zinbiddies, the Electriums. Those are drop pretty easily. That is never that much of an issue, but I can focus a little bit more there. Then we're just looking at Nubian scanners and medpacks. That, though, with lightspeed tokens, the pressure on those is going to be a little bit, but I'm right now using my double drop period to go after the Nubian scanners for maybe another refresh or so, and then I'm going to be switching back to the medpacks. The Nubian scanners, though, had a more immediate pressure because I had a big deficit on those from the last roster video where I did some luxury stuff, and that took away from resources I'm going to need on Pirate Hondo or on the Stranger when he eventually becomes available. That's why we have a -5 here standing on the immediate concerns with the Nubians. But long-term wise, we're looking good. Pirate Hondo is ready to go. We have, looking at any immediate conquest characters and any other recent characters within this area, Marquee releases, or what used to be Marquee releases within this zone. Journey Guide characters looking good. And then a little bit Longer term, more luxury relics. That is what we've been focused on. This will be changing, especially after today, where because of what we alluded to with that generosity of CG, that generosity was Captain Silvo being on a Cantina node. I was expecting Fleet, light side, dark side, not a Cantina. And then you get the Cantina node with the double drop period. That has allowed me to bring Silvo up to finish that farm off within days instead of what could have been up to a month. And so let's take care of this. The Pirate Hondo clock begins, and with tickets available in the store, we'll have Pirate Hondo. I might even add Pirate Hondo to this video. Later in this video, we'll see what I want to include or not include, and also how many days pass. Because if it's just, I mean, you could theoretically do it within a day or two. I don't know if I'm going to be pushing that hard. Because we also have this down period with Conquest where not much is going to be going on. I don't need to be locking things in for a roster. I can just ease up on the resource demand a little bit, stretch it out. But to begin Pirate Hondo clock, promote the final stars on Silvo. What was his name? Jadnawawa something? I gosh, probably remember his other name. The gibberish. Let's see, he was what, Relic 7? Yeah, he's a Relic 7. One thing I saw back in the day on social media was the ability to take Italian foods and turn those into Star Wars names very easily. It's a great post. Silvo, he's been fine. This is going to make Conquest so much easier for me, this next one, because stamina was a major annoyance during the last one. It still will be, because of just, there's redundant characters, particularly Qui-Gold, who is useful for Conquest, or in multiple sectors you require him. But, well, and with Maz Kanata, you could already deplete down to like 10% stamina. It just makes things a little bit easier. Maybe also drops fewer stars. But we also have those Conquest videos that you can check out. So Brutus up to 7, and then what's left? Oh, Kenobi up to 9. With Droid Brains being easier now, we're gonna be pushing relics a lot more. So that takes care of Brutus. Got Kenobi to 9, and this should be it. I think everybody else is set up. Yeah, I believe that is the last requirement. Now, one thing I should address with these characters, you're not going to see me push anybody to Relic 10 yet. I'm going to let the dust settle a little bit. I want to retain some resources, and I'm going to focus more of my resources on bringing more of my roster up to Relic 7, Relic 8, maybe Relic 9 on certain tanks. Then we will be looking at Relic 10. There's no rush on this stuff. Like, you don't get too much extra doing it early, unless you're a whale. If you're a whale Kraken and you're competing in the higher ends of Kyber 1, then yeah, you're going to be wanting to push for that stuff. I'm not competing at that level. Most players aren't competing at that level. Where rushing for Relic 10 is actually going to be weakening your roster in some ways, because instead, especially with Relic Delta these days, especially this latest match, I was really feeling the impact of Relic Delta, where the damage I was doing, I was noticing that some of my counters weren't working as well. Like my Kenobi Jabba counter was taking way more effort to the degree that the Rancor was attacking. And that's a problem. We want to be able to beat that stuff faster. By bringing more of your roster up to Relic 7, you're going to be mitigating the impact of the Relic Delta on your roster. And actually, we're definitely going to cut in some footage, at least with the unlock for Hondo. I don't know how far we're going to push him with ultimates and relics, but we're definitely going to have him unlocked in time for this update. And then we'll transition over to the data crowd and stuff. You can look for the timestamps. We now have Hondo. CG has made this way less annoying, and I do appreciate that. When we need to do like 12 attempts of tier 1, that was absolutely insane. So to now be able to avoid all that is great. Normally I skip the low level development of these characters. I think for the moment, we're going to try it out, because I think we can go about some of this pretty quickly. I'm probably going to stop the video to go through some of the low levels on the abilities, because I just don't think this is particularly interesting to watch. But I'll be taking them up to Gear 11, because this is the staging ground that I like to utilize with characters. Even though it's not relevant to the game anymore, it's something I don't want to stop. At least for the final tiers of the event, I do want to see if on those final 2 tiers I can do it with a lower level investment, because that's what I do here. For the rest of the event, I do want to be careful with the Zetas. I don't want to have to use too many, and maybe I'm going to go about this a little incrementally. I think the leadership is safe. We get a few extra features, but honestly, I think we could have delayed it. It's not critical. I do think we get 2 stacks of profit. The basic is probably very important with the random assist. And then the second special and the second unique, those are relic only, so they're not going to be relevant right now. And this one is probably valuable enough to put on, although I might delay it for a moment. I might give it an attempt first, just to try and find that lowish viable threshold. We're back after about 4 days. That's how long it took me to accomplish the event. You could do it faster if you wanted to spend more resources, but without Grand Arena going on, there's no reason to rush anything here. But what I really wanted to show here is that we did accomplish the goal of completing the event with just Gear 11 and only 2 Zetas. There's a third one that you could put on that would make it a little bit easier, but I opted out of it to begin with, and that was the unique Zeta here. This would help quite a bit, getting those extra stacks of profit. That one I left off because I didn't know if it was going to be useful. I did find that it would have made an impact. These other ones though, you could delay until you get relics. That's why I did. With the testing that I was doing, it wasn't necessary. But now that we're done with it, no reason to delay. You are noticing here though that I didn't put on the ultimate. Probably because I didn't notice it because I wasn't at relics yet. But we'll take care of it later. It'll be in a second piece of footage. So we're going to take him up to, I forget what we took him up to, Relic 7? Maybe for the ultimate journey, or maybe for territory battles. Or no, actually for raids, definitely for raids. I wanted to have this team up and running immediately to boost my raid performance, start getting more Mark III currency. That stuff adds up over time. So pretty soon though, we will have that new smugglers event, and I'll be showing footage there. You can see I skipped out on what I needed. We're looking at the rest of the raid teams. So now we're bringing Temple Guardian up to Relic 7. This is something that I wanted to do, well, obviously for myself, but also it was a request from the guild to boost up some of my scores, and this stuff was pending. And now with the changes that CG has made to relics and being a lot easier, I'm a lot less apprehensive to be cautious about these kinds of leveling. So we're just doing Relic 7 for the moment, but we'll be increasing over time once I build out a little bit more of a strategy. When the Smugglers Run event appeared, definitely wanted to take advantage of those resources immediately, so brought Hondo up to Relic 9, and then that also helps raid as well, but I'm just using a team of Pirate Hondo and Hondo for the moment. We'll build out more squads in the future, but after I optimize mods a little bit, and then we remembered to put on the ultimate ability. That gets us caught up on this update. The next time we release one of these, we will have officially entered the new anniversary era with our new methods of obtaining marquee characters. Well, I'll break down which ones I'm going after, which ones I'm spending crystals on. For the moment, it's going to be squads that I'm most interested in after the era is over. So that's going to be things like an Afra squad. The Vader one I think is a mandatory character, and then I'm looking at like an Asajj Ventress or an Inquisitor Barriss. Those are the teams that I'm a little bit more interested in. With Asajj, it's because she's going to be part of a Scion squad, and I have a Relic 9 Scion from helping out the guild in territory battles, and I would like to turn him into a character that is actually beneficial to my roster. At least that's what I'm hoping. So thank you for watching. Be excellent to each other, everybody. This is Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.